Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Chatting with the Lightkeeper. As always, I'm Edward, and you are you. And last week, or actually last podcast, which was 2 weeks ago, since this is bi weekly, I always get that confused. My apologies. We talked about the biggest fantasy Americans have, and that was threesomes. And that rabbit hole of kind of going down fantasies led me to discover an article that was out there by in a scientific journal. Um, Not exactly exciting reading, but it talked about the benefits of what happens when we try new things. And amazingly, this was written by a researcher, and so that started me down exploring what happens when we do step out of our comfort zones and try things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, threesomes, but in the world of, BDSM and kink, there is plenty to explore, plenty to try. And what happens to us when we do try it? The amazing thing is there's a whole host of benefits out there for this. And finally, on the pod, once we talk about the benefits of expanding our kinktastic world and trying those things that we might be shy about or unsure about, we're going to talk about some rituals that you can do with your partner or partners, and how they will how kind of putting some rituals in the morning for everyone involved, how that will actually enhance your relationship. Once again, that was very surprising and kind of an offshoot that I found while I was down the rabbit hole. So let's start talking about what happens when we decide that we want to try something new and kinktastic. We'll start with talking about our brains. And first of all, this is not an ad for some brain supplement, even though it's going to probably sound like it at a few places. That is not the case. However, if you are a brain supplement manufacturer, feel free to sponsor the pod. I'd love it. Anyway, one of the biggest advantages that happens when we step out of our comfort zone and we start trying new things is we actually add, and without trying to sound scientific, new connections sort of grow in our brain, which allows our brain to become more flexible. New things are kind of perhaps like yoga for our brain. And research shows that exposure to new or unfamiliar situations makes it easier for us to handle challenges. And when we have a challenge, it reduces the amount of fear that our brain can generate. Because sometimes when we face something new, it's very possible for our brain to get a little fearful and start saying, whoa, whoa, where this allows our brain to be clearer and less intimidated by the new experience. The other thing it does, and then this kind of surprised me, but it actually helps our memories. When we have new experiences, they are obviously more memorable than the routine, mundane ones that we have in everyday life. And this helps our brain store and retain more information and do so sort of more effectively. Maybe it's like defragmenting your hard drive, but for our brains. So that is one of the things that is fantastic. Plus the other thing, and I love this because it's something that I have occasionally found myself in, and thankfully when I do, Sailor, my submissive, will jump in and promptly tell me to get my mind out of this loop that I'm in. Sometimes all of us can find a way to get ourselves stuck in a negative sort of thinking loop where we don't see the green grass anymore. We see all the problems. And when we do try new things, it helps break that loop, and breaking that loop and having the ability to break it is fantastic. So, who would have thought that new things could help us stay positive? But it can. And it also, and I kind of like this because I do like to create. I know it probably seems weird to some of you if you follow my socials that I try to write a poem a week and share it with everyone for a BDSM kink centric creator to be sharing poetry. But new things do help our creativity and our original thinking. So, a personal message to Sailor. What new things should we try this week? Because I'm struggling for a topic for a poem. So maybe we need to try something new to spur the creative juices. Anyway, new things do help our creativity, which is fantastic. And not only does it do, our mental yoga and helps our creativity and break those negative feedback loops, but there's actually mental health benefits too. Now, obviously, this is not going to fix or cure something when we have an issue or a challenge with our mental health. But trying new things is actually linked to feeling more positive, feeling calmer, and more emotionally steady. And really, I think that's something that we all could benefit from. And the research also shows that if you are willing to break routine, try those new things, it helps sort of balance us. We don't have the emotional swings if we're trying new things that somebody who is very routine and doing the same thing every day has. So it helps regulate um, our emotional our emotional swings. Now, the research also shows, as you can probably imagine, that it does help reduce depression and anxiety when you try new things. And I know it seems kind of counterintuitive because trying something new can make us feel anxious because it's new and perhaps out of our comfort zone. But because we're disrupting that negative thinking feedback we have going on in our brain sometimes, new situations help us build confidence. And over time, that confidence we build from trying things does lower our anxiety, which is fantastic. Now, I am not saying that going out and trying new fantastic things, is going to fix or cure your anxiety, but it possibly can help. And another one that I think is really important in today's society is that when we do branch out and we try new things in the kinktastic world, is because these new things often involve other people, it helps reduce loneliness. And let's face it, there is kind of a loneliness. Loneliness is very persuasive, or not persuasive, but it persists throughout society, and I think it's getting kind of worse. But I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say it's social media's fault or any of that stuff because I don't know. But hey, trying something new does reduce our loneliness, and often in the kinktastic world, it involves other people. And that helps us connect with others. And we feel less isolated when we're trying new things. And we typically feel more emotionally supported. Um, of course, there are a few general life things that do come out of this. For example, humans, one of our needs, we're sort of the animals that we are. We are explorers. Part of our brain is probably carried over from way back in the day, but many of us have a need to explore. It's scientists have identified it as sort of a basic psychological need. And when we step outside of our comfort zone and we try something new, um, exploring, that is what we're doing, we're exploring. So it gives us greater life satisfaction, which was very surprising. But it does make sense when I think of it that way. And of course, long term, if we push ourselves to try new things, the research actually shows that we adapt better to future stress in life and we recover more effectively when we struggle with challenging life events. So, expanding our comfort zone can actually help us in our everyday life by lowering stress. And when we do go through, one of those challenging times that life throws at us, it really can help us recover from dealing with that event. And of course, there are some motivational benefits. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a motivational speaker or do my best Saturday Night Live impression and pretend to live in a van down by the river. But when we do step out of our comfort zones and we do try those new kinktastic things, it feeds our brains feel good chemicals, which makes us excited and gives us forward momentum. It increases our motivation and increases our energy levels. And I think on a day like this, my energy level is definitely fueled by the coffee bean. So it would be nice to have some more energy and have that come from a new wonderful experience. It also gives us a sense of progress. Now, there's no doubt that when we try something new, we feel maybe nervous or perhaps discomfort is a better way to say it when we step out of our comfort zones and even though we've perhaps well it's kink so we have talked to everyone involved, we have great communication, consent is done and is perfect, um, but we still have that sort of discomfort with what we're going to do because it's new. But when we do something new and overcome that challenge, it makes us it makes us proud of ourselves. And that gives us a strong sense of progress, which helps us grow as people, which leads to us having increased courage. Now, I'm not saying that if you try bondage for the first time, that you're going to suddenly not have a fear of heights. But what it does do is it gives us the courage to help us face fears that we may have, sort of a bravery in stepping out of the comfort zone. Studies report that people who do this, they feel stronger, more capable, more confident when handling uncertainty. So that's a beautiful, beautiful little benefit there. And of course, we have that sense of achievement. When we try something new, we're reinforcing that we believe in ourselves, and it gives our brain the motivation to keep growing. And really, who couldn't use a little bit more motivation to keep growing? It also gives us a stronger belief in our abilities, and not just like our kinky abilities, but those experiences that we have that are new to us and perhaps kinky, um, help us in our everyday life. When we have more confidence, we're able to handle challenges that come our way with less fear, more confidence, and that stronger belief in ourselves really helps. Also, it helps our personal identity. It helps us learn ourselves. It helps us learn what our strengths are. It helps us better define where our limits are, what we desire, and what we value. It helps us better understand ourselves. And the more we understand ourselves, the better we grow as people. Sharing new experiences also creates stronger social bonds. And by that, I mean when, for example, Sailor and I try something new, that new experience that we do together helps us connect as partners. It really helps us grow together. So it's actually a tool that can strengthen our bond with our partner or partners. And science also shows that, trying new things improves the quality of your relationship. Obviously, if you're growing together, you're strengthening your connections, the relationship quality is going to be better. And I know I mentioned this before, but when we try new things, it helps us with our stress. We handle stress better, not just stressful times in a relationship, but the research shows that it helps us buffer against burnout or chronic stressors. And for example, in my career right now, this is the crazy busiest, most stressful time of the year for me. And so it's kind of nice to know that stepping out of my kinky comfort zone is actually going to help me through the challenges that I know lie ahead in January and February for me at work. The other thing is it sort of restores our mental energy. I'm sure we've all had days where our mental energy is just drained and flat, and it's sort of a tired that sleep doesn't touch. And engaging in something new helps you restore that mental energy and find that emotional balance. So it's a way that we can sort of arrest that weariness that sleep doesn't. And finally, some long term benefits of stepping out of our comfort zone. First is we make better decisions. It helps us become better problem solvers. And making good choices on a daily basis is something that is going to help everyone. It also helps our focus and our attention. It helps keep our mind engaged, alert, and it helps improve concentration. So that is a fantastic little benefit for us. In the expanded comfort zone, of course, is going to help us face challenges and be able to adapt to them quicker. And in today's world, let's face it, every day bring new challenges. And finally, we have life transitions. Whether we want to talk about it or not, life throws events at us that can be joyful or they can be traumatic or very sad. But when we have built confidence in our ability to step out of our comfort zone, when we have to make changes that are life transitions, our life is changing, and we can't go back to where we were. Something has happened. It actually makes those feel less overwhelming. So those are some of the things that stepping out of your comfort zone can do for you. And I guess at this point, real quickly, I should mention if you have tuned in and you're expecting to see me, sitting, say, at the lighthouse on this snowy, frigid morning or nice, warm, and cozy at my breakfast bar, you're not. I had some problems syncing my camera up this morning, so we are doing this as an old-fashioned podcast where I am talking to a microphone and you can't see me. But since you can't see me, I have replaced me with some lovely lighthouse shots that will sort of act as an old-fashioned screensaver kind of floating through the air in front of you. So that's why you're seeing lighthouses rather than me. So let's move into ritual. Now, rituals are something that a lot of people in DS love and other people don't. So these rituals they're not kinky. None of these rituals are based in kink, but they are something that we can do as partners that will strengthen your relationship. And typically we also sort of think as rituals as something the submissive in a relationship does. But this is something to do with your partner, no matter your role. And it also looks at a time of the day when, let's face it, mornings are not the time that we are perhaps focused on our partner like we should be. Mornings are typically rushed. They're get the coffee, get the lunches made, the kids off to school, get yourself off to work at the right time, take a shower, do all those things. And mornings are typically rushed. And this was fantastic what I learned and how we can create rituals and use them in our mornings to connect better with our partner. And there's something, there's seven of them. They might not all work for you, but I think one or two of these will actually be fantastic and really help your relationship. I read this and I was like blown away. And yes, Sailor and I have actually put a few of these in place in our relationship, and we were very happy to see a couple of the things that we do every day already were a part of this. So it was sort of like, whoa, that's great. So the first thing is mornings are rushed typically, right? At least for me, I do not like to roll out of bed when my alarm goes off. There's always that push for the snooze button because the alarm always goes off right when I'm getting the best sleep. So don't rush past your partner or partners in the morning, even on a busy day. Take a moment, set aside a minute or two, and just, acknowledge everyone before you shift into that get ready for the day mode. Make eye contact when you say good morning rather than just grumble good morning as you walk towards the coffee pot. The one that Sailor and I do is we get up a little bit early, which neither of us likes to get up a little bit early part. But what we love about it is we share coffee together before getting into get ready for the day mode hits. We just have, coffee together. Sometimes it's coffee and quiet and just being together, and other times it's coffee and great conversation. But science has proven that these small, mundane moments actually signal our brains that our partners recognize us and they care about us, which is really very important. Now, the author of the study called this sync with your partner before you speak. Now, this doesn't mean that you, as partners, pull out your phones and you sync your daily calendar every morning and then talk about it. But mornings aren't ideal for heavy conversation. And the researchers went into great detail in this. But suffice it to say, the simple explanation is when we wake up in the morning to an alarm clock, it sort of primes our body for stress. We're waking up and we're like, stress, stress, stress. And taking a moment to sit quietly together, have that cup of coffee, or even stand side by side while you both, both or all of you brush your teeth. I guess if you're in a poly relationship, I hope you have maybe a couple of sinks or it'll get crowded around the one sink. But needless to say, uh, take just a little bit of time and just be near your partner. It allows you to connect because you're in their presence. And this next one I thought was really important. In the mornings, it can be very, good morning, how are you this morning? Very simple way. Many of us start our days like that. And it can be very easy to fall into the trap of the same answer. I'm fine, I'm good, whatever it is, it can be very easy to give the same sort of I'm good response every day. But after you have that little time to think, be honest. I'm feeling good, but I'm a little bit anxious about what today's going to hold. Or, I'm exhausted. Those little things can mean a world of difference. And why is this important? Can you share honestly how you're feeling in the morning with your partner or partner? What you're doing is you're giving them a clue as to what the rest of the day may hold. For example, if you wake up and your partner says, I'm really kind of tired and a bit cranky, and that's a very common feeling, at least for me on a Monday. Oh, it's Monday. I'm tired. I'm cranky. How many days till the weekend now? But what that does is it helps your partner understand that you may be short-tempered later in the day, that, you perhaps didn't sleep well and you're anticipating a stressful day so that they can understand later in the day, let's say after work, why you might be a little short-tempered or you might seem a little off. All of those things are incredibly important. So just that little bit of honest communication can set up your day for you and your partner or partners to understand what the day may look like later for your mood or what you want or need. Uh, Another great thing, and this is one of the things that Sailor and I do, we keep one sort of like thing sacred for each other. And for us, we get up obviously a little bit early for the coffee, but before we roll out of bed for the coffee, we take, I don't know, it's probably about 5, 10 minutes, and we just cuddle together before getting up. We're not having a conversation normally, we're just cuddling together and being together. So some things that you can do as sort of a morning ritual, is the cuddling before getting out of bed, or perhaps you're a dog owner. You can take the dogs for a short walk or a long walk if you have time. Or maybe you cook breakfast together. Or it can be making, if you have kids, making the kids' lunches together. It's just a little sort of reaffirmation of your partnership, and it goes a long way to keeping connected. Now, for a lot of people, touch is a love language, and this isn't here to talk love languages and all that jazz. But for most people, the only touch there really is in the morning is the routine goodbye kiss. And touch is proven that it helps when we touch our partner or partners, it helps ground us. So perhaps consider a long hug, or rather than the standard, peck on the cheek, goodbye kiss, and out the door you go, give a proper kiss, kiss your partner. Or maybe just simply lean into each other for a moment. Doing any of those little things gets our feel good, happy chemicals going in a way that coffee, just simply, or whatever your morning beverage of choice is. These moments help calm our nervous system, and it helps not only us, but our partners feel steady as their day starts. So use a little touch and don't, try not to keep it routine and short and another thing, if you are having a busy family or just even, a very busy morning, is to make the routine things that have to happen every morning. Don't dump it on one partner. It can be very, especially in DS, it can be very common to see a submissive carry the load in the morning, whether it's, doing the routine morning chores, but this sort of puts extra mental and physical load on your partner. So look at starting the mornings as a sort of shared project. If you have morning tasks that have to be done every day, divide them up. So it's not just, the submissive carrying the load in the morning. It isn't about fairness. It's just making sure that your partner or partners don't start the day with a full plate. They have a moment sort of to hit the floor without having to take off running because you're going to share the load with them. And this doesn't mean that this has to be a system that's locked in every day. Let's face it. Some days we're going to be sick. Some days we're going to be slow moving. It's just about sharing the projects that we have to do in the morning before we can get into the meat of our day. And finally, send your partner or partners off into their day feeling supported. This kind of goes beyond just saying, have a great day, I love you, but it's understanding what they have going on for that day. Good luck with your presentation today, or you've got this. Or, text me if you need a pep talk, whatever little thing it is like that. Sharing just a little bit of motivation with your partner or partners and letting them know that you've got their back, that you're there for them, and you know what's going on in their lives. That they've got a presentation. It's those little things that show them that you're tuned in to what they have going on in life. And those little things in the morning can make a world of difference. So in the mornings, don't think of perhaps morning rituals as just something for the submissive. Look at it as something that you can do as partner and how it will strengthen your relationship. And what I found fantastic is mornings for me have always been sort of just like what I talked about, where it's a routine to get ready to take on the day. And obviously, Sailor has incorporated a few things that are not about getting ready for the day, but about us as partners. And I think it's really helped. And I hope those seven little things that you can try one or two of them and see how it helps you, because I do truly believe that you can use morning rituals as partners to strengthen your relationship that little bit of time before the day gets crazy busy. Now, to wrap it up, I have a purely sort of selfish favor to ask everyone who is listening. If you could, please tap the like or follow buttons or subscribe button, all depending on whatever platform you are watching or listening to this. And the reason why I'm asking for that is not because I want to boost my follower count, but as you know, all the social medias out there, and podcasting is considered social media, they use the almighty AI to judge whether people are tuning in. And what happens when you tap the like or the follow button or the subscribe or whatever the heck they call it on whatever platform you are on is it lets the AI out there in the cloud know that I am not just talking to nobody. And what that does is it helps put my content in front of people so more people can see it and hear it. And of course, I would like that. So if you could help me by doing that, I would really, really appreciate it. Now, finally, I want to I want to ask you a question. And that question is simply, what is something that can make you feel safer when you're trying something new? And think about that for a second. And no matter where you're watching or listening, there will be a comment section or is a comment section. And just share whatever that is with everyone, because what can help you feel safer when trying something new can help somebody else. So let's build a little community and let's share our thoughts as to what can help someone feel safer when they are trying something new. So thank you very much for the listen. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. And hopefully, in 2 weeks, you'll see me talking to you as well. Until then, I hope you enjoyed the lighthouse pictures. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Thank you very much.